To complete the story of the shower, you're back in the shower. When you're using domestic water, either in the shower or at the sink, and you want hot water, it's being drawn from this water heater. But the cold water going back into the water heater starts by coming into this tank and winding through a heat exchanger of copper coils that go through this tank and come out the tank to enter the water heater down here on the cold side. And currently, without any water circulating through it since they left about an hour ago, the cold water going in is about 85 degrees right now, but it's not circulating, so there's actually no water going in. But if this were to actually have a demand, in other words, someone using hot water, it's really this tank temperature, 110 and maybe be a little less, 108, which would be the replacement water going into the water heater. So water being drawn from the water heater, if a shower was to happen right now, right this minute, it's being drawn from the water heater at 120 degrees, but the replacement water going in would be about 108, 110 degrees. So that greatly reduces the amount of energy to bring the water heater back up to 120 degrees. And this is a high efficiency condensing water heater. That's why you see these PVC pipes here. The combustion chamber is a sealed combustion chamber and is located in the tank and is completely surrounded by water. So versus a traditional conventional water heater that has a burner like a stove top that's just underneath the tank, and then the heat goes around and then wasted out the flue. 97% of the heat in this combustion chamber is transferred to the water through the internal, because of the configuration of the internal combustion chamber, and then the condensing coils that from which the exhaust gases pass and are condensed, and through that through the energy transfer and then basically the help me out on this, Alex. I'm missing the one key word here in the condensing. It's actually a chemical change process. We're taking that gas and we're changing it into a liquid, and then that liquid just drips out and drains back here because there's humidity in the air, and that transfer of medium actually squeezes out the last bit of energy from the combustion process, and that's why it makes this such a high efficiency water heater.
Transfer of state.
Transfer of state. Thank you very much. You know how it is when you're in discussion, right? And subsequently, why we do not need to have a flue, because then the gases are just basically blown out the front of the building through the small PVC pipe. The home, to heat the home, is controlled like any other, your interface to heat the home is controlled like what you'd be used to through a thermostat. When you set your thermostat, the thermostat senses a demand. It goes, that signal goes to this little controller here, and this controller then would start one of these pumps circulating. And there's one pump for each floor. There's one pump for the ground floor. This is a 3-floor home, so there's ground floor, second floor, and third floor. The water that is pumped through the floors comes out of the water heater, and this little gadget right here is another heat exchanger. So it goes, this side of the heat exchanger just simply through this pump circulates water from the water heater through the heat exchanger, never touching the water that actually goes, this is a double wall heat exchanger, never touching the water that actually goes to the through the floor, because the water circulating through the floor is a closed loop. That water circulating through the floor is on this side of the heat exchanger, comes out, goes through the pumps, up and through the house and back down. We see here, if we're running, these would be there's no demand at this moment, this would be the temperature as it returns from the three levels. Top floor, middle floor, lower floor where we are right now. The same concept is used when heating the house, as when we were heating the domestic hot water. Any loss of temperature in the water heater is made up for by running through another coil that's in this tank, sending the water that would return from the water. In other words, the cold side of this heat exchanger first goes back, passes through the coils in our solar thermal tank, and then is replaced back into the water heater, so that we're pulling as much energy as we can from the sun and not firing gas that we have for a backup. Now this is a foggy day, and what I've been pointing out to you are the readings that we see on the dials right now, as if we were having a shower right this moment. But keep in mind that the fog set in here about Tuesday this last week, and this tank temperature now has dropped down to about 102 degrees, and we haven't had a chance in the last few days to heat it back up. Now it's getting a little brighter today, but this is probably as bright as it's been in the last 5 days. When this tank gets up to 130 to 140 degrees, whether we're heating the house or someone's taking a shower, washing dishes, whatever they may be doing, the water heater never fires, because the replacement water going into the water heater is higher than the water heater is set. So this water heater can get up to 160, 170 degrees, and you think, oh, that's too hot. But what we have to regulate, say, the temperature that you would be using in the shower and at the sink is what's called a tempering valve here. And you can see it right on the back side of the piping here where I'm holding my hand. And what this does is, if you're in the shower and you want 110 degree water, but it's 160 in your water heater, it takes the 160 degree water and right at this location mixes cold water directly from the street, which would be the 55 degree water from Hetch Hetchy, and it mixes it to 120 degrees